Captain Jake Collins stood on the bridge of his ship, the New Horizon, and stared at the massive alien vessel ahead. It was 10 times bigger than any human ship he had ever seen. The metal hull gleamed with strange purple lights and weapons that looked like giant claws stuck out from every side. "This is it," he said to his crew. "First contact with aliens. Try not to mess this up." Lieutenant Amy Walsh checked her screens one more time. "All systems green, Captain. We're ready for the meeting." Chief Engineer Pete Rodriguez wiped sweat from his face. "I still can't believe we're actually doing this. Meeting real aliens." Doctor Lisa Morgan held her scanning equipment tight. Her job was to record everything and learn as much as possible about alien technology. Remember, we represent all of humanity today. Let's make a good first impression. The alien ship was called Zenith Prime. It belonged to something called the Galactic Federation. For months, human scientists had been talking to these aliens through radio signals. The aliens seemed friendly enough. They invited Earth to send representatives for a peaceful meeting. Jake had been chosen to lead this mission because he was calm under pressure. He had fought in 3 different wars on Earth and never lost his cool, but today felt different. Today, the future of the entire human race might depend on how well this meeting went. "Captain, we're getting a signal from the alien ship," Amy reported. "They want us to dock with them." "All right, people. This is what we trained for." Jake straightened his uniform. "Pete, make sure our engines are ready for a quick exit if things go bad. Amy, keep all weapons powered down but ready. Lisa, record everything." The New Horizon moved slowly toward the massive alien vessel. As they got closer, Jake could see other ships nearby. Some looked like giant crystals that glowed with blue light. Others were shaped like metal spiders with long, thin legs. Each ship was bigger and more advanced than anything humans had ever built. "We look like a toy boat next to these things," Pete whispered. The docking went smoothly. Soon, Jake and his team were walking through corridors that seemed to stretch forever. The walls were covered with symbols that glowed and moved like living things. Strange music played from hidden speakers. Finally, they reached a huge round room. In the center sat creatures that looked nothing like humans. Some had 4 arms and skin that changed colors. Others looked like walking trees with glowing eyes. A few seemed to be made of pure energy, floating in the air like ghosts. The leader appeared to be a tall, thin creature with gray skin and too many teeth. It wore robes covered in gold symbols and had 6 eyes that all stared at Jake at once. "I am Ambassador Cathara of the Vorthan Empire," the creature said. Its voice sounded like metal scraping against stone. "You must be the humans we have heard so little about." Jake stepped forward and tried to smile. "I'm Captain Jake Collins, representing Earth and all humanity. We're honored to meet you and grateful for this chance to join the galactic community." Several aliens made sounds that might have been laughter. It was not a friendly sound. A massive creature that looked like a walking tank covered in spikes stepped forward. "I am War Master Thexul of the Krillian hegemony. Your species is very small and weak. Your ships are primitive. Your weapons are toys." Jake felt his team tense up behind him. He kept his voice calm. "We may be new to space travel, but we're eager to learn and contribute to galactic peace." "Peace?" Another alien spoke up. This one looked like it was made of living crystal and spoke with a voice like ringing bells. "You have not earned the right to speak of peace. You are nothing but children playing with fire." Dr. Morgan stepped closer to Jake and whispered, "Captain, their technology is incredible. These scanners are picking up energy readings I can't even understand." More aliens began to speak, and none of them sounded friendly. They talked about humans like they were insects. They laughed at human achievements. They acted like Earth was Just another rock floating in space. Your species will serve the greater good, Cathara announced. All your outer colonies will be placed under Krillian protection. You will pay tribute to ensure your survival. Jake's heart started beating faster. I'm sorry, but we didn't come here to surrender our freedom. We came here to make friends. Elias, the room went quiet. Then War Master Thexul made a sound like an angry bear. You dare refuse the generous offer of the Galactic Federation? We refuse to be slaves, Jake said firmly. Humans have fought too hard for their freedom to give it up now. Amy Walsh's hand moved closer to her weapon. Pete Rodriguez started. Backing toward the exit, Dr. Morgan kept recording, even though her hands were shaking. This meeting is over, Thexul declared. You have chosen war over wisdom. So be it. Alarms started blaring throughout the alien ship. Jake grabbed his team and ran for their ship. Behind them, they could hear the aliens discussing humanity's fate. None of it sounded good. The New Horizon barely made it back to the small human fleet waiting nearby. As soon as they were aboard, Jake ordered all ships to prepare for battle. Captain, Amy shouted from her station. The alien ships are powering up weapons. Through the view screen, Jake watched as the massive alien vessels turned toward the human fleet. Weapons that glowed like small suns began to charge up. The human ships looked like children's toys next to these monsters. All ships, evasive maneuvers, Jake commanded. Try to reach the jump point. The first alien weapon fired. A beam of pure energy reached out and touched the human ship Courage. The ship simply disappeared in a flash of light. No explosion, no debris. It was just gone. 2 more human ships died the same way. The aliens were not even trying hard. They were swatting humans like flies. Jump drives ready. Pete called out, "Do it. Get us out of here." The surviving human ships jumped into hyperspace just as more alien weapons fired. They left behind the bodies of 300 human beings and the wreckage of any hope for peaceful contact with the galaxy. As the New Horizon raced back toward Earth, Jake stared at the stars and made a promise. The aliens thought humans were weak and primitive. They thought wrong. Today, the galaxy had made an enemy that would prove more dangerous than they could possibly imagine. 6 months had passed since the massacre at the meeting point. The aliens waited for humanity to come crawling back, begging for mercy. Instead, they heard nothing. No messages from Earth. No human ships anywhere in space. Complete silence. Perhaps we killed them all, War Master Thexul said to his officers. The humans were weaker than we thought. On the alien homeworlds, leaders congratulated themselves on teaching the upstart species a lesson. They went back to their usual business of ruling the galaxy and forgot about the small blue planet called Earth. They should have been worried by the silence. Admiral Bobby Hayes stood in the war room deep under the Rocky Mountains. Around him, the best military minds on Earth worked day and night on a single problem: how to fight enemies with technology hundreds of years ahead of human science. "Show me the data again," Bobby said to Dr. Lisa Morgan. She had been promoted after bringing back crucial information from the alien ship. Lisa pointed to the screens showing alien weapon scans. Their plasma cannons are powerful, but they take 12 seconds to recharge between shots. Their shields work on a single frequency that never changes. And look at this. She brought up recordings of the alien fleet movements. They fly in perfect formations, same patterns every time. It's like they're following a dance instead of fighting a war. General Karen Brooks, head of Earth's Special Forces, leaned forward. "You're saying they fight by rules?" "Exactly. They've been fighting each other for thousands of years using the same tactics. Honor, ceremony, tradition. They make war like it's a sport. Dr. Richard Stone, the lead weapons designer, smiled for the first time in months. Then we don't play. By their rules. The room fell silent as everyone understood what he meant. Humans had learned to fight differently. On Earth, wars were won by whoever was willing to do whatever it took to survive. Honor was nice, but dead heroes couldn't protect. Their families. Bobby stood up and walked to the big map showing Earth's solar system. How long before we can field a real fleet? The shipyards are working around the clock, General Brooks reported. Every nation on Earth is contributing. We'll have 50 Retribution-class destroyers ready in 3 months. The Retribution class. Ships were humanity's answer to alien technology. They were smaller and faster than alien vessels. Instead of massive weapons, they carried dozens of smaller guns that could change frequency and target multiple enemies. Instead of heavy armor, they used speed and electronic warfare. Captain Steve Parker walked into the room carrying a datapad. He commanded the first completed Retribution ship and had been testing its systems. The new vessels work better than we hoped. We can jump in, hit multiple targets, and jump out before they can respond. What about the weapons? Bobby asked. Dr. Stone activated a hologram showing the new human arsenal. Adaptive plasma cannons that learn from each shot. Self-guided missiles that can think for themselves. And something special, nanobots that can eat through alien ship hulls. Commander Helen Gray, one of Earth's best pilots, studied the ship. Designs. These look nothing like traditional warships. That's the point, Bobby explained. The aliens expect us to fight like them. Big ships, head-to-head battles, lots of honor and glory. Instead, we hit and run. We adapt. We learn. Dr. Monica Bell entered the room with a report from the Intelligence Division. Colonel Ryan Murphy's teams have been busy. They've been sneaking around alien trade routes for months, watching and learning. She activated a star map showing alien territory. The Galactic Federation isn't as united as they pretend. The Krillians hate the Ethereals. The Ethereals think everyone else is stupid. Dozens of smaller species are tired of being pushed around. Can we use that? General Brooks asked. Already working on it. Lieutenant Sarah Kim's reconnaissance teams have made contact with some rebel groups. Seems a lot of species don't like their current government. Bobby felt the first real hope he'd had since the massacre. So we're not fighting the entire galaxy. We're fighting a bunch of separate groups who happen to work together. For now, Dr. Bell agreed, but that could change if we play this right. The months of preparation were almost over. Earth's factories had been converted to build warships. Every human settlement in the solar system contributed resources. Scientists worked with engineers to create weapons that had never been imagined before. Captain Danny Foster commanded a squadron of the new ships. His job was to test them in real combat. The target was a Krillian patrol fleet near the Vega system. 3 ships doing routine border patrol. Remember, Danny told his pilots over the radio, we're not trying to be heroes. We hit them fast, learn everything we can, and get out alive. The human ships jumped out of hyperspace in perfect formation. The Krillian patrol ships immediately began moving into their traditional battle pattern. They had fought this way for centuries. It always worked. This time was different. The human ships split up and attacked from 6 different directions at once. Their weapons hit different frequencies, making the alien shields useless. Instead of staying to fight, they jumped away after 30 seconds, only to appear somewhere else and attack again. The Krillians tried to adapt, but their ships were too big and slow. Their weapons were designed for long-range duels, not close combat. Swarms. Within 5 minutes, all 3 alien ships were destroyed. The human fleet jumped back to safety with complete recordings of the battle. Not a single human ship was even damaged. News of the victory reached Earth within hours. For the first time since the massacre, Humans had something to celebrate. But the leaders knew this was just the beginning. One small victory, Admiral Hayes told the gathered officers. "They'll be ready for us next time." "Good," said Dr. Stone. "We'll be ready for them too. And we learn faster than they do." Captain Julie Adams, who commanded the ship Defiance, raised her hand. "What's our real goal? Here? Are we trying to beat them or just make them leave us alone?" Bobby looked around the room at all the faces staring at him. These people represented the best of humanity. They had families back on Earth, counting on them to keep the planet safe. "Our goal is to make sure no alien ever thinks humans are easy." "Pray again," he said. "We're going to teach the galaxy a lesson they'll never forget." The room erupted in cheers, but Bobby stayed quiet. He had studied the alien fleet strengths. Humanity was still outnumbered 1,000 to 1. This war would require more than better ships and weapons, Dot. It would require humans to become something the galaxy had never seen before. Outside, in the shipyards orbiting Earth, workers put the finishing touches on the new fleet. Each ship carried weapons designed to kill aliens and armor designed to protect humans. But more importantly, each ship carried crews who understood something the aliens didn't. Sometimes, the most dangerous enemy is the one who has nothing left to lose. Fleet Commander Zuran of the Ethereal Collective could not believe what he was seeing. The reports from Vega System made no sense. 3 Krillian warships destroyed by primitive humans? Impossible. "Show me the battle recordings again," he commanded. His officers, the hologram displayed the fight once more. Human ships appearing from nowhere, attacking from all sides, then vanishing before the Krillians could fight back. It was nothing like proper warfare. "They fight like cowards, War Master." Dexul growled from across the communication link. "No honor, no respect for battle traditions. Effective cowards," Ziran replied coldly. "Your ships are dead." Theirs flew home. The 2 alien leaders had been enemies for centuries, but the human threat was forcing them to work together. Neither wanted to admit that humans might actually be dangerous. "We will assemble the Grand Fleet," Ziran declared. 800 ships from 7 species. "We will crush these insects once and for all." Thexul Essimage nodded. "Good. The humans got lucky once. They will not get lucky again." 3 weeks later, the largest fleet in galactic history gathered at Proxima Centauri. Massive battleships from the Ethereal Collective floated next to Krillian. War cruisers. Ships from 5 other species filled the space between them. Every vessel bristled with weapons capable of destroying planets. Admiral Nick Thompson watched the alien armada through his ship's viewscreen and felt his stomach drop. Intelligence had warned him the aliens were coming, but seeing 800 enemy ships was still a shock. "Holy hell," whispered Captain Ben Clark from his ship nearby. "There's so many of them." Nick commanded only 40 human vessels, but they were the best Earth could build. Each ship was packed with the newest weapons and crewed by volunteers who knew they probably wouldn't survive the day. "All ships, this is Admiral Thompson," he said over the radio. "Today, we're outnumbered 20 to 1. The aliens think that means they've already won. Let's show them what humans do when the odds are impossible." Captain Julie Adams checked her ship's systems one more time. The Defiance carried the first human AI-assisted targeting system. The computer could track dozens of enemy ships at once and find weak spots in their defenses. "Julie, you ready for this?" asked Captain Maria Santos from the engineering ship Recovery. Her job was to keep other human ships running when they took damage. "As ready as anyone can be for certain death," Julie replied. "But if we're going down, we're taking as many of them with us as possible." The alien fleet moved forward in perfect formation. Hundreds of ships arranged in neat rows, like they were on parade instead of going to war. At the center, Fleet Commander Zeran's flagship glowed with ancient power. "Humans," Zeran's voice echoed across space, "surrender now, and we will make your deaths quick." Nit Thompson's reply was broadcast to every ship in both fleets. "Come and take us." The battle began exactly as the aliens expected. The human fleet seemed to panic and scattered in all directions. Some ships ran toward the asteroid belt. Others dove below the plane of battle. A few charged straight at the alien center. "Fools," Vexul muttered. "They have no coordination, no plan." That's when the first surprise hit. The human ships that had fled to the asteroid belt suddenly emerged from behind the space rocks. But they weren't alone. Hundreds of robotic fighters came with them, drones that had been hidden in the asteroids. For weeks, the drones swarmed the alien left wing like angry bees. Each one carried enough explosives to damage a warship. The aliens tried to shoot them down, but there were too many, and they moved too fast. Meanwhile, the human ships that had charged the center were trying to be heroes. They were deploying mines, thousands of tiny bombs that looked like space. Debris until enemy ships got close. Captain Luke Johnson's squadron demonstrated something the aliens had never seen before. His ships fought differently in each engagement. Every time the aliens adapted to human tactics, the humans changed their approach. "They're learning," Zeran realized with growing alarm. In the middle of battle, they're actually learning and adapting. Dr. Patricia Wong, monitoring the battle from Earth, fed tactical data to the fleet in real time. Every alien weapon that fired was analyzed. Every shield frequency was recorded. Every tactical mistake was noted and shared with all. Human ships instantly. The aliens were fighting the same way they had for thousands of years. The humans were becoming better fighters every minute. The asteroid belt turned into a nightmare for the alien fleet. Human ships appeared and disappeared among the rocks. Drones attacked from every direction. Mines exploded under alien hulls. What should have been an easy advance became a deadly trap. "Pull back," Zeran ordered. "Reform the battle line." But the aliens couldn't pull back cleanly. Human ships using Ghost Protocol stealth technology appeared right in the middle of alien formations. These ships were almost invisible and carried weapons designed for close-range fighting. Captain Ben Clark's ship materialized next to a massive ethereal cruiser and fired every weapon at once. The alien vessel's shields, designed to stop long-range bombardment, couldn't handle point-blank assault. The cruiser broke in half. The alien formation began to collapse. Ships collided with each other, trying to avoid human attacks. Ancient rivalries surfaced as different species blamed each other for the disaster. "The Krillians are cowards," an ethereal captain broadcast. "They're running away. Your ships are too slow." Vexul shot back. "You're getting in our way." Commander Luke Johnson saw the opening and took it. "All human ships, focus fire on the command vessel. Take out their leader." Every human ship still able to fight turned towards Iran's flagship. The massive alien vessel was powerful, but it couldn't handle concentrated fire from dozens of enemies at once. Zeran's ship began to break apart. Emergency systems failed. The ancient commander, who had won hundreds of battles, realized he was about to die at the hands of a species he had considered barely intelligent. "Retreat," he ordered with his last breath. All ships retreat. The surviving alien vessels fled in complete disorder. Of the 800 ships that had entered the battle, fewer than 30 made it to safety. The space around Proxima Centauri was filled with alien wreckage and the bodies of those who had thought humans were easy prey. Admiral Thompson looked around at his own fleet. 12 human ships had been destroyed, but 28 survived. Against impossible odds, humanity had won the greatest space battle in galactic history. "All ships, damage report," he ordered. The responses came back one by one. Most ships were damaged, but still functional. More importantly, every surviving crew member had learned lessons that would make them even more dangerous in future battles. Captain Maria Santos began rescue operations, saving both human and alien survivors. "Admiral, what do we do with the alien prisoners?" Nick thought for a moment. The aliens had shown no mercy at the first meeting. They had tried to enslave humanity. By all rights, humans could leave them to die in space. Give them medical treatment and send them home, he decided. Let them tell their people what happens when you mess with humans. News of the victory spread across the galaxy faster than light travel. For the first time in recorded history, a primitive species had defeated the combined might of the Galactic Federation. On alien homeworlds, leaders who had never known fear began to feel something new. The humans weren't just lucky. They weren't just desperate. They were learning to fight better than anyone the galaxy had ever seen. And they were just getting started. The survivors of the Battle of Proxima Centauri carried their fear back to every corner of the galaxy. In alien council chambers, military leaders who had never lost a battle tried to explain how 800 ships had been destroyed by 40 primitive vessels. "They fight like demons," whispered Captain Velenix, one of the few ethereal officers to escape. "No honor, no rules, no mercy. They use everything as a weapon." Intelligence Director Carl Jensen sat in his office on Earth, reading reports from across the galaxy. The aliens were scared, but they weren't beaten. Fear could make them even more dangerous if they united against humanity. "We need to keep them divided," he told his staff. Scared enemies who work together are still dangerous. Scared enemies who don't trust each other are much easier to handle. Captain Susan Lee commanded the deep space reconnaissance ship Shadow. Her mission was simple but terrifying. Appear in alien star systems without warning, scan everything, then disappear before they could respond. The psychological effect was exactly what Carl had hoped for. Alien patrol fleets would be cruising through their own territory when a human ship would suddenly appear on their sensors. Before they could react, it would vanish again. "How did they get here?" alien commanders asked. "How did they get past our defenses?" The truth was that human ships were simply faster and stealthier than alien vessels. But the aliens began to imagine that humans had impossible technologies. Some thought humans could teleport. Others believed they could become invisible at will. Dr. Andrew Kim led the Information Warfare Division. His job was to make the aliens' own technology work against them. Human computer viruses, designed to look like random technical failures, began spreading through alien networks. Navigation systems would suddenly show the wrong coordinates. Weapon targeting computers would aim at empty space. Communication arrays would play strange music instead of military orders. The aliens knew. Humans were responsible, but they couldn't prove it. "Sir, we've got another success," reported Lieutenant Emma Navis. "The Krillian Third Fleet just lost all power to their main weapons. They're claiming it was a solar flare." Carl smiled. "Let them believe what they want. As long as their guns don't work, I'm happy." The most effective weapon turned out to be the truth. Commander Frank Miller's teams had recovered thousands of hours of alien communications during the various battles. They learned things that shocked even hardened military officers. The Galactic Federation wasn't the peaceful alliance they claimed to be. The Krillians had been enslaving smaller species for centuries. The Ethereals had been conducting genetic experiments on entire populations. Species that joined the Federation by choice quickly discovered they could never leave. "Broadcast everything," Carl ordered. "Let every species in the galaxy know what their leaders have been doing." The revelations tore the Federation apart. Species that had been allies for generations suddenly remembered old grudges. Planets that had paid tribute for centuries began to rebel. The united front against humanity crumbled into civil wars and border disputes. Roger Bell specialized in spreading rumors and half-truths that made humans seem more dangerous than they really were. His teams would hack into alien communication networks and leave carefully crafted messages. "Did you hear? The humans can survive in hard vacuum for hours. They say human ships can repair themselves during battle. I heard they don't even need food or water. They just absorb energy from stars." Most of the rumors were false, but aliens, who had seen their mighty fleets destroyed by primitive humans, were ready to believe anything. The galaxy began to whisper about human super soldiers who couldn't be killed and human. Scientists who could steal any technology just by looking at it. The campaign reached its peak when Admiral Janet Walsh's fleet appeared, simultaneously in 12 different star systems. Each fleet looked identical, down to the smallest details. The aliens couldn't understand how humans had built so many ships so quickly. "They're multiplying," reported a terrified Vorthan captain. "The humans are everywhere at once." The truth was simpler. Most of the fleets were just holographic projections, created by a few real ships using advanced imaging technology. But the aliens didn't know that. They saw human forces appearing everywhere, and assumed humanity had become unstoppable. Panic spread through alien space like wildfire. Every species began pulling their fleets back to defend their home systems. Trade routes shut down. Diplomatic missions were canceled. The galaxy-spanning civilization that had ruled for millennia began to fall apart. On the planet Cascara, home to the ethereal collective's High Council, Elder Morvani called an emergency meeting. The ancient being had lived for over 1,000 years and had never seen the galaxy in such chaos. "The humans number fewer than 10 billion, he told the assembled council. "We number in the trillions, yet we cower in our homes while they roam, free through space." "You don't understand," replied General Vecmar, who had survived the Battle of Proxima Centauri. "They don't fight like any species we've ever encountered. They adapt faster than we can respond. They learn from every mistake. They're just another species," Morvani insisted. "Carbon-based life forms with standard limitations." "Are they?" asked Science Officer Veltar. "Our best analysts can't explain half of what they've accomplished. Either they've made scientific breakthroughs that should be impossible, or—" He paused. "Or what?" Morvani demanded. "Or they're not really from this galaxy at all." The idea that humans might be some kind of advanced extragalactic species began to spread among alien scientists. It was the only explanation that made sense. To them, how else could a primitive civilization defeat forces that had conquered the galaxy? Meanwhile, on Earth, Carl Jensen read the intelligence reports and shook his head. The aliens were scaring themselves with their own imaginations. All humanity had done was fight smarter instead of harder. "Sir," reported Captain Susan Lee from her latest reconnaissance mission, "the Krillian Empire is recalling all their border fleets. They're setting up defensive positions around their home system." "What about the Ethereals?" "Same thing. Everyone's pulling back to protect their most important worlds." Carl stood up and walked to the window overlooking Earth's rebuilt cities. 2 years ago, humanity had been alone in the galaxy, unaware that other intelligent life existed. Now, they were the most feared species in known space. "Any word from the diplomatic front?" Lieutenant Davis checked her reports. 3 more species have contacted us requesting non-aggression pacts. The Zephyrian Republic wants to discuss a trade agreement. And the hegemony of Vec is offering to share intelligence about Krillian military positions. Accept the non-aggression pacts, Carl decided. Set up preliminary talks with the Zephyrians, and tell the Vec we're interested in their information. The galaxy was learning a new truth. Fighting humans was dangerous, but working with humans could be profitable. Species that had been enemies of the Federation for generations suddenly found themselves with powerful new allies. The psychological warfare campaign had succeeded beyond Carl's wildest dreams. Without conquering a single alien world, humanity had become the dominant power in the galaxy. Fear, properly applied, was more effective than any weapon. But Carl knew this was just the beginning. Scared enemies might stay quiet for a while, but eventually they would either unite against humanity or try to develop better weapons. The next phase of the plan would require something even more dangerous than fear. It would require the aliens to actually respect humans as equals. 2 years had passed since the first meeting between humans and aliens. President Lara Chun stood at the podium in the Great Assembly Hall of Haven Station, looking out at representatives from 47 different species. Some had been enemies just months ago. Now they all listened carefully to every word she said. Today marks the beginning of a new age, she announced. Not an age of conquest or submission, but an age of cooperation. In the audience, former War Master Thexul sat quietly in his chair. The proud Krillian warrior, who had once threatened to enslave humanity, now worked as a security contractor for the Human Defense Alliance. His job was to train alien forces to work alongside human military units. Director George Taylor, the station's administrator, watched the ceremony from the control room. Haven Station had been built in just 18 months through the combined efforts of human engineers and alien workers. It was proof that former enemies could accomplish amazing things when they worked together. Hard to believe how much has changed, he said to his assistant, Captain Rachel Kim. 2 years ago, they wanted to wipe us out. Now they're asking us to protect them. Rachel nodded while reviewing security reports. Admiral Rodriguez's patrols have been busier than ever. 3 more species requested our help with pirate problems this week. The human-led Galactic Defense Alliance had grown beyond anyone's expectations. What started as Earth's desperate attempt to survive had become the galaxy's most effective peacekeeping force. Human strategic thinking combined with alien technologies. And resources created something more powerful than any single species could achieve alone. Admiral Chris Rodriguez commanded the integrated fleets from his flagship, the Unity. His bridge crew included humans, reformed Krillians, ethereal scientists, and representatives from a dozen other species. They had learned to work together because the alternative was being defeated by enemies who wanted to destroy them all. Admiral, reported Lieutenant Commander Veltar, the ethereal science officer, we're receiving multiple distress signals from the outer rim. Something's attacking settlements near the galactic edge. Chris studied the tactical display. The attacks were coordinated and brutal. Entire colonies were being wiped out with weapons nobody recognized. How many ships do we have in that area? 2 patrol squadrons, replied Captain Kevin Park, the human tactical officer. Not enough to handle whatever's doing this. The first reports from the outer rim were terrifying. The attackers used technology that made even advanced alien weapons look primitive. Their ships were massive, dark, and seemed to absorb energy instead of reflecting it. Worst of all, they left no survivors. General Wayne Foster, head of Combined Intelligence, briefed the Alliance leadership on what little they knew. We're calling them the Devourers because that's what they do. They consume everything, ships, stations, even entire planets. We don't know where they come from or what they want. How long before they reach populated systems? President Chun asked. At their current rate of advance, 6 months, maybe less. The news sent shockwaves through the galaxy. Species that had spent centuries fighting each other suddenly realized they faced an enemy that wanted to destroy all life. Old rivalries seemed foolish when extinction was the alternative. Captain Scott Williams, humanity's chief diplomatic officer, found himself busier than ever. Species that had refused to join the Alliance were now begging for protection. Others offered their entire military forces to the human command structure. The hegemony of Vex wants to surrender their entire fleet to our control, he reported to President Chun. The Crystalline Collective is offering to convert their whole industrial base to weapon production. Accept all offers, Chun decided. We're going to need every ship and every weapon we can get. The Alliance's response was everything the galaxy had learned to expect from human leadership. Instead of panic or despair, there was calm planning and methodical preparation. Admiral Katie Roberts took command of the largest fleet ever assembled, over 3,000 ships from 50 different species. The enemy thinks they can consume our galaxy like they probably consumed others, she told the gathered fleet commanders. They're about to learn why every species in the Milky Way considers humans the most dangerous thing they've ever encountered. The first major battle came at the Kepler system, where a Devourer advance fleet met the Alliance forces. The enemy ships were massive and powerful, but they fought using the same rigid tactics everywhere they went. They had conquered other galaxies using overwhelming force and superior technology. They had never fought an enemy that learned and adapted, thought Captain Julie Adams, now commanding a mixed squadron of human and alien vessels, led the first probing attack. Her ships used the same hit-and-run tactics that had worked against the Galactic Federation, but the Devourers adapted quickly. Their shields are learning from our weapons, she reported to Admiral Roberts. Each shot is less effective than the last. Then we changed the game, Roberts replied. All ships implement Protocol 7. Protocol 7 was something only the Alliance could execute. Human ships would attack from one direction, while Krillian vessels struck from another. Ethereal energy weapons would overload enemy shields, while smaller species used their speed to plant explosives on Devourer hulls. The battle lasted 6 hours. But when it ended, the Devourer advance fleet was destroyed. More importantly, the Alliance forces had captured intact enemy technology and several prisoners. Dr. Monica Bell led the team examining the captured Devourer equipment. What they found changed everything. These aren't just conquerors, she reported. They're refugees. Their own galaxy was consumed by something even worse. The interrogation of Devourer prisoners revealed the terrible truth. They were fleeing from entities called the Void Makers, beings of pure entropy that consumed entire galaxies by turning matter back into energy. The Devourers had been trying to find a galaxy strong enough to help them fight back. They've been testing us, Admiral Roberts realized, seeing if we're worthy allies or just another galaxy to be consumed before the Void Makers arrive. President Chun made the decision that would define humanity's place in the universe. Tell them we'll help, but they follow our rules and respect our allies. The Devourer leader, an ancient being called the First Hunter, came to Haven Station under heavy guard. It was a creature of living metal and dark energy, terrifying to look at, but surprisingly reasonable to talk with. Your species is young but wise, it told President Chun through translation devices. You have united enemies and turned fear into strength. This is what we need to fight the true darkness. The final revelation came when long-range sensors detected the approaching Void Makers. They were not ships or creatures, but moving holes in space itself that unraveled reality wherever they passed. Entire star systems simply ceased to exist as they advanced. Admiral Roberts stood on the bridge of her flagship and looked at the combined fleet around her. Thousands of ships from dozens of species, all working together under human leadership. Former enemies now trusted each other with their lives, because humans had shown them something better than conquest. All ships, this is Admiral Roberts, she broadcast to the assembled fleet. Today we face an enemy that wants to destroy not just our worlds, but existence itself. They think we're just another galaxy of scattered species fighting among ourselves. She paused, looking at the tactical display showing the approaching darkness. They're about to learn that this galaxy is under human protection, and humans don't abandon their friends. The response came from every ship in the fleet. Thousands of voices from dozens of species, all speaking in unison. For the Alliance. For the galaxy. For humanity. As the combined fleet moved toward the galactic edge to face the Void Makers, Captain Steve Parker sent a message back to Earth. 2 years ago, we were alone and afraid. Today, we lead the greatest alliance in the history of the universe. Not because we're the strongest or the smartest, but because we're the species that turns enemies into friends. On alien worlds across the galaxy, parents told their children stories about the day humans became the most dreaded species in known space. But they always ended the same way. And then we learned that while humans can be terrible enemies, they are the most loyal friends in the universe. The galaxy slept peacefully that night, knowing that somewhere in the darkness between stars, human ships stood watch against the void. The species that had once been dismissed as primitive insects had become the sect, had become the guardians of all life. The day humans became the most dreaded species in the galaxy was the day the galaxy became truly safe for the first time in its history. Because sometimes the most dangerous thing in the universe is someone who refuses to give up, refuses to surrender, and refuses to let evil win. And that, more than anything else, was what made humans truly terrifying to their enemies and precious to their friends.